The 2024 election is over. Not only is Donald Trump on track to win the Electoral College, but he's also in a very good position to win the popular vote, something that no Republican has done since 2004. And looking at the national average, Kamala Harris still maintains a very slight 0.9% lead, but she is going to lose this lead very soon, as 4 of the last 5 national polls have shown Trump to be in the lead. One of them was conducted by Atlas Intel, the most accurate national pollster of the 2020 election cycle. And so today we'll be taking a look at the 2024 electoral map, if Trump can indeed win the popular vote, and see what implications that would have for the Electoral College. We're of course going to begin by filling in the solid states for both candidates. Races that Harris or Trump are going to win by 15 percentage points or more. Starting off with the safe blue states for Harris, we have Washington, California, Hawaii, as well as Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and the 1st District of Maine. For Trump, we have Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota, along with all of Nebraska except its 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, Alaska, and the 2nd District of Maine. This will give Trump 126 electoral votes right off the bat to Kamala Harris's 109. Before we get to the likely states, we're going to take a quick look at how the popular vote is going to translate to the Electoral College. According to Nate Silver, if Kamala Harris wins the popular vote by 0 to 1%, which is where she's polling right now, she has just a 6.4% chance of actually winning the election. She could win it by up to 2 points, and her odds would only be at 21. If she wins it by up to 3, she'll have a 50% chance. She really has to win the popular vote by 3 to 4 points to be the overwhelming favorite to get to 270 electoral votes. But right now, we're seeing the opposite trend occur. Donald Trump is on track to take back the popular vote in just a couple of days. If he wins the popular vote by even just 0 to 1%, he'll have a 98% chance of winning the election overall. And so Kamala Harris, just looking at this, is in an unbelievably precarious position, considering that just a month ago, she and all the Democrats thought that they were going to win this election easily. That is no longer the case. Donald Trump has re-cemented himself as the clear favorite. Coming back to the map now, we're going to fill in the likely states for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, races that either candidate is going to win by 7 to 15 points. Starting off with the likely blue states for the vice president, we have Oregon, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and Delaware, and that's going to be it. All 5 of these states were states that Biden carried by 15 points or more in the last election. While for Donald Trump, we're going to begin up in the Midwest, where he is easily going to win Iowa and Ohio. There's no doubt about it. These 2 races are going to vote for Trump for a 3rd time in a row after he first flipped them in 2016. They've been Republican ever since. No Democrat is going to win these 2 states at any point in the foreseeable future. Before we continue, 70% of you guys are not subscribed, so please take the time to subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election in November. And join my Discord server to chat with me personally. Link in the description below. Moving on down to the Sun Belt, we have a few additional likely Trump states. We're going to begin in Texas, a race that Trump won by 5 points in the last election. It wasn't that great of a Republican performance 4 years ago, but Trump is going to win Texas by a double-digit margin this time around, outperforming his 2016 margin of 9 points. There's no doubt that Texas is going to easily go to the former president. No Democrat has won this state since Jimmy Carter in 1976. And then in Florida, we do have a very different situation. The last time this state went blue was actually 2012. However, since then, it has taken a huge shift to the right. Trump won it by 1% in 2016, and then by over 3 in 2020. This time around, he's probably going to win it by at least 7 to 10 points. Ron DeSantis won his re-election as governor in Florida just 2 years ago by a whopping 19-point margin. And so there's no doubt that Florida is going to be closer on the presidential level, but it's still at least going to be likely for the GOP. And so we are now left with just the 13 most competitive races on this map. We have 4 in the upper Midwest, 7 in the Sun Belt, and then 2 in the Northeast. We also, of course, have the 2nd District of Nebraska, but honestly, what difference is that really going to make? We're not going to see any scenario where the 2nd District is a must-win for either one candidate. We're now going to move on to the lean states for Kamala Harris, and I'm going to begin with both Colorado and New Mexico. These are going to be races that she'll win by 2 to 7 points. So these are going to be among the most competitive races in the entire country. They could realistically vote for either one candidate or the other, but still, one of the nominees does maintain a slight edge. And starting off in Colorado and New Mexico, 2 states that Biden won easily by double-digit margins in 2020, Kamala Harris is going to win by around 5 points, probably somewhere from the 3 to 7 range. These 2 races are going to be a lot more competitive than they were last time, just like basically every other blue state on the map. Joe Biden won New York, for example, by 23 points 4 years ago. Today, Harris is going to win it by just around 13. We also have the state of Maine as a whole. Kamala Harris is going to win the at-large votes is 2 electoral votes, and Maine can get competitive. Just look at 2016, the last time Democrats nominated a poor candidate. Hillary Clinton only won Maine by 2.9 percentage points. And so now we have all of the solid, likely, and lean states filled in for the vice president. She's only at 198 electoral votes. We haven't even gotten to the lean Trump states yet, and he's already at 219. Before I continue, I want to tell you guys about Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market, where you can track election results and instantly see who's leading. These odds react in real time to current events instead of days later like the polls. There's no bias or media spin, just pure data. The market odds reflect the collective analysis, beliefs, and wisdom of thousands of traders reacting to world events. Polymarket has also recently launched a mobile app where you can access their 2024 election forecast on the go. Make sure you check them out at polymarket.com and visit the App Store to download their new app. We're going to move on now to the lean Trump states, races that he is going to win by 2 points or more. Many of these states you'll see as pretty familiar, as they are among the most supposedly competitive. But considering just how well Trump is doing now, many of the battleground states you see on this list are not really going to be battlegrounds anymore. Trump has shifted the entire map to the right. Instead of seeing states like Pennsylvania or North Carolina get contested, we're going to see close races in states like Minnesota and Virginia instead, races that Joe Biden won easily 4 years ago. We're going to start off in North Carolina, where Donald Trump leads by 0.5% in the polling average. In fact, in all of the battlegrounds together, Trump has taken a 1% lead, his largest lead since Kamala Harris first entered the race. That is how strong of a position he is in right now. Now, Trump is not doing as well as he was before Joe Biden dropped out, but he doesn't need to do that well to win the election. At this point, he was on track for an electoral college blowout, and that is not what he needs to win. All he needs to do is win the battleground states, and he'll be set. So starting off in North Carolina, Trump leads by 0.5% in the polls. It is the only swing state that went to Trump in both of the last 2 elections. Trump won the Tar Heel state by 3.7 in 2016 and by 1.3 in 2020. There's no doubt that he is going to win the state for a 3rd time in a row early next month. North Carolina is going to be lean red, with Trump on track to win by around 4 to 5 points. Next up, in neighboring Georgia, Donald Trump is on track to win the state by 1.8% based on the polls. This is the state where he's polling the best in out of all 7 swing states. Georgia, though, is actually a state that Trump lost in the last election. It's a race that Democrats are defending after Biden carried it for the first time as the Democratic nominee since Bill Clinton in 1992. He won it by 0.24%. It was the closest race in the entire country, but now with Kamala Harris on the ballot, she doesn't stand a chance. Trump is going to win Georgia back, a state he carried by over 5 points back in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. And so it's also going to be lean Republican on the map. The former president is going to win by around 3 to 4 points. In Arizona, we have a similar story, another state that Biden won in the last election as a Democrat for the first time since the 90s, but a state where Trump is clearly on track to win today. He leads by 1.6% in the polling average, and unlike in Georgia, the polls in Arizona do heavily overestimate Democrats Democratic support. So there's no doubt Trump is going to win the state back, a race he won by 3.5 percentage points against Hillary Clinton. Arizona is also going to be lean red on the map. Trump will win the state by 3 to 4 points as well. And then to finish off the Sun Belt, Nevada is going to be lean Republican as well. It is not going to be a tilt state anymore. Trump actually leads by 0.8%, and this is a state that is actively shifting back to the right. Before 2008, it was actually a red state that went to Bush in both 2000 and 2004. In 2008, Obama won Nevada by nearly 13 points. In 2012, he wins it by 6.7. In 2016, Clinton wins it by 2.4. Joe Biden wins it by the exact same margin in 2020. Democrats are making no inroads in the silver state, and Trump is going to be the first Republican to win it in 20 years. In fact, in 2022, Republicans actually won the governorship there for the first time in a decade. So there's no doubt that Trump is on track to win Nevada by around 2 to 3 percentage points. Moving up to the Midwest now, Donald Trump is going to sweep the upper Rust Belt, and this is going to be disastrous for Kamala Harris because she needs to win every remaining state on the map to block Donald Trump from reaching 270. We're going to begin in Pennsylvania. Trump calls it the pathway to his victory. He says if he wins Pennsylvania, he's going to win the election, and in large part, he is correct. Looking at the polling there, he currently leads by 0.7%. If he wins Pennsylvania, he will be able to get over 270 pretty easily. He won't even need Nevada or Arizona or any other state left on the map. Pennsylvania is a state that went to Trump back in 2016. Biden flipped it by a narrow margin in 2020, and it's going to return to Republican hands. Trump can probably win the race by around 3 points this time around. And then in Wisconsin and Michigan, the interesting thing about these two races, along with Pennsylvania, is that they always vote for the same candidate by pretty similar margins. Just look at 2020, Biden won all three of them. In 2016, Trump won all three of them, but these were pretty historic flips for the Republican Party. Before that, they voted blue in every single election going back to 1988. This was the last time that these 30 states didn't all vote for the same nominee. Bush won Michigan and Pennsylvania, while Dukakis carried Wisconsin. And considering the national environment today, Trump is also on track to win Michigan and Wisconsin. He leads by 1.2% in Michigan, which was the most liberal of all the swing states in 2020, and in Wisconsin, he leads by 0.2. So on the map, both races are going to be lean Republican. I see Trump winning them by just over 2 points. We're now left with 3 states and 1 congressional district. All of these races are going to be tilt states, states that will go to either one candidate by less than 2 percentage points. I'm going to begin with the 2nd district of Nebraska, which Kamala Harris is still going to win by a very narrow margin. And then New Hampshire, a state she's going to win by around 1%. It has gotten this close before. Look at 2016. Hillary Clinton only won it against Trump by 0.37. And so now we're left with just Minnesota and Virginia, 2 races where a few years ago you would think it's impossible that they've gotten this competitive. Today, they're the last 2 states remaining on the map. 2 races Biden won by likely margins in the last election. Minnesota, he carried by 7.1. Virginia by a whopping 10.1. But today, I have Donald Trump winning both of them by very, very narrow margins. They're going to be close. They really could go to Harris. They could go either way. But for now, considering Trump's momentum, I am going to give these 2 races to the former president, especially if he is able to win the national popular vote, which means he'd have to swing it by around at least 5 points to the right. If he wins it by 3%, which is what the most accurate 2020 pollster is saying, it's going to be a nearly 10-point swing, which makes both of these victories for Trump very, very possible. And so, based on what's happening right now with the popular vote and Trump's surge and his continued momentum as we enter the election with just 2 weeks to go, Donald Trump is at 335 electoral votes, Kamala Harris at 203. A huge victory is in store for the former president. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election in November. And follow me on Twitter for daily political updates. Link in the description below.